let's look at conflict and problem solving. Here's where you show, how you handle workplace challenges professionally and effectively. You want to have them realize that you want to address issues before they become unnecessary drama. No one likes unnecessary drama. You also want them to see that you are experienced working with teams to solve complex problems. You have tons of examples of these. Think about what those are and then write them down. Write that down here. All right, so anyways, let's look at question number 17. Tell me about a time you managed a conflict. That is key, all right? It's gonna come up, maybe worded a little differently, but it'll come up. And you might say that during a technical implementation project, conflicting priorities arose between departments. And I facilitated an open dialogue to understand each perspective, leading to a cooperative solution that aligned with our goals. The key thing there is, at the end, you aligned with the goals, you achieved the target, you exceeded the target. No one, talking about strong collaboration and the results aren't there, don't go there. So they want to see that you're able to leverage collaboration, diversity on the teams to really knock it out of the park on the project. Make sure you incorporate that as part of your answer. And then, there's a few more questions here. I skipped strengths and weaknesses. You want to highlight your strengths really well and be very intentional about what weaknesses you submit. You don't want to raise any red flags. Tell me about a time you made a difficult decision. What guided your choice, and describe a time when you disagreed with your supervisor and how it was resolved. This is a good one. And I would encourage you to, when answering this, that the interviewer understands that you spent time understanding your supervisor's interests, what concerns they had, deeply listening to it. And then you also were able to share with them your perspective as to why you're proposing a certain approach. And then you work together to come up with the best solution. So, anything that incorporates that is good here. Highlighting that you did have disagreements with your supervisor is not a bad thing, right? People don't want to hire folks that are just going to say yes sir or yes ma'am, right? They want to be challenged, right? So that we can get to better decisions. So don't worry about that. We talked about question 17. I think we're ready to move on to the category or the arc of performance and growth. So here, you want to demonstrate your ambition and dedication to personal and professional growth, and your commitment to exceeding expectations. You hear me say exceeding expectations a lot. If there's anything to take away from you here, is that this person's committed to exceeding expectations. So let's look at, question 21. What is your biggest accomplishment? You'll have many to pick from. Have 2 or 3. You might say, my biggest accomplishment was spearheading a district-wide initiative to integrate education technology, which boosted student engagement by 30%, and enhance student learning outcomes by 20%. So to the extent that your examples can have quantifiable data, I would suggest leaning into those. Obviously, not everything you have hard data to support, but I would definitely recommend pulling those in during the interview, because they'll like that, hey, this person's data driven, right?